Now that the Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman affair has fanned the flames of racial tension once more, we ought to take some time to step back and consider what racism is and is not, what really causes it, and whether our constitutional republic is really adequately equipped to address it. Racism is not a political or cultural phenomenon so much as it is a condition of the heart. And it is hardly limited to just white or just black people or any group of people. No form of government can deal with the causes of racism or abolish it, but it can deal with the effects. We are all susceptible to attitudes of suspicion or worse about those who are different than us. And unless our form of government accounts for this reality and protects the rights of its racial and political minorities, it will ultimately fail. So while we should not tolerate those who attempt to divide us along the lines of race or class, such demagoguery will ultimately be rejected by the American people. In fact, America is uniquely suited to addressing racism, and here's why. Of the many brilliant foundations of our form of government, perhaps the most brilliant is its realistic assessment of human nature, understanding the thirst for power and control by many people, and the imperfect, fallen nature of all people. The founders called for regular elections, and they divided and balanced power among executive, legislative, and judicial branches, assuring that no one person or group of people could exercise unrestrained tyranny. Liberty thus became the force of gravity in America, and importantly, the desire for liberty inevitably requires free people to object to the freedom of others being compromised or stolen. For people know that this ultimately threatens their own liberty. It is only liberty, not force, that can hope to change hearts and minds. A truly free people will not tolerate enslavement in any of its forms. The fallen nature of man was the very reason why the issue of slavery was not settled by the founders. A compromise between slaveholding and non-slaveholding states was necessary to secure passage of the Constitution. It took a full century to correct this, but as a nation, we ultimately abolished slavery. We tolerated more insidious forms of racism, but as a nation have fought to neutralize them. We imprisoned people during World War II for the crime of being of Japanese descent. We tortured people at Abu Ghraib. We recently saw a passage of legislation allowing the detention of citizens without charges. But as a nation, we have refused to tolerate these things because the force of gravity in America has always been towards liberty. Racism will always reside in the hearts of some, but if we continue to protect our liberty, it will never again flourish in America.